Hi, I'm Tamitha Skov with your solar storm forecast for the week of April 30th. With all of the active regions rotating onto the backside and wreaking havoc there, you'd think the Earth-facing sun would be quiet, but it's not. On April 26th, we had an eruption from the near-west limb, and now we have 3 filaments from the northeast that have erupted near simultaneously, one of them being this huge monster that lifts off here. So now we have 4 solar storms that look like they're en route kind of toward Earth, but we'll be lucky to get a glancing blow from any of them. Switching to our M-flare threat meter, you can see we've actually had very little flare activity. We did have a spate of M-class flares back on the 21st and 22nd when region 2322 was about to rotate out of view, but that has since died down. The flare levels have continued to stay low, and they will probably continue that way for some time. Now, we did see a slightly elevated radiation levels from about the April 22nd through about the 27th, but they stayed well below NOAA's S1 storm level threshold. And so these levels were probably enough to cause maybe a raised noise floor for amateur radio operators and maybe even some GPS issues at high latitudes. But the levels have since died down, and we don't expect any more radiation storms in the near future. Switching to your solar storm levels, you can see the waning effects from that high-speed stream that started dying down around the 17th and the 18th. It's since been to about unsettled conditions. Now, we did see active conditions again on the 21st, and that was pretty much from a solar storm that didn't really manifest too much of effects. But things have since then died down, and we've been experiencing very quiet solar wind conditions over the past week. And while this solar wind wasn't at storm levels, the active and unsettled conditions over the past few days was enough to bring us some gorgeous aurora in Finland and numerous places in Scotland, like the Isle of Skye and Aberdeen and also Castlehill. It got us some gorgeous aurora in Moores Island in Denmark and also in Hamilton, Montana. So what else does the sun have in store for us this week? Well, this is our solar wind prediction model, NLUL. This is NOAA's version of the model. The top panel's density, the bottom panel's velocity. And here we're modeling the western eruption that we saw back on the 26th. And as you see it coming out, it actually looks like it grazes Earth right about the 1st. So we might actually see a little bit of storming because of this. Now, switching to NASA's version of the model, this is a preliminary run of those eruptions that occurred on the east limb. And as you can see here, this run shows that big eruption is actually going to miss Earth onto the east. So we have one eruption that's going to east of us, one eruption that's going west of us. If we see anything, it'll be late on the 30th into the 1st, and then for this one, it'll be into the 2nd. So we might see something, but probably not. Returning to the disk, you can see regions 2327 and 2331 are now rotating off the west limb, and there's just not a lot on the east limb to replace it. We're going to be down to just a couple active regions on the Earth-facing disk, so NOAA is keeping our M-flare threat level really low over the next couple days, which should be good news for you ham radio operators. Switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming days, we are anticipating a moderate high-speed stream as well as some grazing passages from a couple solar storms over the next few days. So NOAA is giving us about a 30% chance for a minor storm at high latitudes. At mid-latitudes, we're only expecting about a 20% chance for active conditions. Nonetheless, we could see some aurora. It really depends upon whether or not the edges of these solar storms that are grazing us are actually going to hit us and cause some effects, or they're just going to miss us entirely. But nonetheless, the effects should be pretty minor over the coming days. Switching to our solar flare and particle radiation storm outlook over the coming week, as mentioned earlier, everything is green. We only have region 2331 that has any threat for high-level flare at all, and it is rotating off of the west limb. So NOAA is going to be dropping our M-flare threat risk down to 1% over the coming week, and absolutely no threat for radiation storms at all. So you GPS operators and you amateur radio operators especially, you should breathe a sigh of relief, because it looks like there'll be little disturbances, if any at all, over the coming week. So this week it looks like Earth is a bullet dodger. We've got 4 solar storms en route, but it looks like they're either going to go to the east of us or the west of us. At most, they might graze us here and there, but we're not anticipating any major effects from this, just maybe minor effects. It really depends upon how extended these solar storms are. And on top of that, we have very little flare activity, so pretty much the space weather is quiet this week, for a change. So enjoy the quiet. I'm Tamitha Skov. Thank you for watching.